Great leaders are not only defined by their vision, wisdom, or achievements, they are defined by how they speak. Words are the tools that shape perception, inspire action, and ignite change. The most respected leaders throughout history, from presidents to innovators, understood one timeless truth. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Speaking like a leader is not about having a perfect vocabulary or a booming voice. It's about clarity, confidence, and connection. It's about aligning your message with your presence so that when you speak, people listen, not because they have to, but because they want to. In this journey, we will uncover the principles that transform ordinary speech into powerful communication. You'll learn how to project confidence without arrogance, how to influence without manipulation, and how to inspire even in the toughest situations. Whether you are addressing a boardroom, leading a team, pitching an idea, or simply having a conversation that matters, the ability to speak like a leader will set you apart in every area of life. By the end of this audiobook, you will not just speak, you will lead every time you open your mouth. Chapter 1. The Mindset of a Leader's Voice. Before you can speak like a leader, you must think like one. The words you choose, the tone you use, and the impact you create all begin in the mind. Speaking with influence is not simply a matter of technique, it is the product of mindset. 1. Understanding the power of your voice. Many people underestimate the influence their words can carry. They speak without intention, filling silence rather than shaping it. A leader sees things differently. Every sentence is a chance to inspire, to clarify, to guide. Your voice is more than sound. It is an instrument of change. Think of it like this. A hammer in the hands of an untrained person may cause damage, but in the hands of a skilled builder, it constructs something lasting. Your voice can either cause confusion or build clarity. The choice begins with your awareness of its power. Leading from the inside out. Leadership communication starts with inner alignment. Before you can move others, you must master your own internal dialogue. If your thoughts are filled with doubt, fear, or insecurity, they will seep into your speech through hesitation, weak language, or apologetic tones. Ask yourself, do I believe in what I'm saying? Do I believe in myself as I say it? A leader's words have weight because they are backed by certainty, not arrogance, but conviction. This conviction is not born overnight. It's built through values, self-respect, and a clear sense of purpose. The 3 pillars of a leader's communication mindset. There are 3 foundational beliefs every leader must internalize before their speech can truly resonate. Confidence without ego. True authority comes from calm assurance, not loud dominance. Connection before persuasion. Before trying to convince someone, a leader seeks to connect with them on a human level. When you internalize these principles, your tone shifts. People sense authenticity, and authenticity builds trust, the most valuable currency in leadership. 4. Speaking with intention. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is moving from speaking to fill space to speaking to fill purpose. Every time you speak, ask yourself, what do I want the listener to feel? What do I want them to understand? Overcoming the fear of authority. Many people unconsciously diminish their voice in the presence of authority figures or larger audiences. They speak faster, avoid eye contact, or downplay their idea. But remember, leadership communication is not about being above others. It's about standing equal and creating mutual respect. The key to this is preparation. When you are clear on your message, confident in your purpose, and grounded in your values, you will not shrink when speaking to people in power, because you will understand your own. Key takeaway: speaking like a leader begins before you open your mouth. It starts in your mindset, in believing that your words have value, your ideas have weight, and your voice can make a difference. From this place of inner strength, every technique you learn will multiply in impact. Chapter 2. Mastering the Art of Presence. You can have the most inspiring words in the world, but if your presence does not command attention, your message will be lost. Leadership presence is the invisible force that makes people want to listen before you've even said a word. It's not just about how you look. It's about the energy, confidence, and authority you project when you enter a space. 1. Why presence matters in leadership communication. Imagine you walk into a room where two people are speaking. One speaks in a commanding yet calm tone, stands tall and makes deliberate eye contact. The other fidgets, avoids eye contact, and uses filler words. Without even hearing their words, you already know whose message will land stronger. This is the power of presence. It frames how people receive your words. Leaders do not simply deliver messages, they embody them. The core elements of leadership presence. To develop a magnetic presence, focus on these 4 pillars. A. Posture. Your body language broadcasts confidence before you speak. Keep your back straight, shoulders relaxed yet open, and chin level. A grounded stance says, I am comfortable here. B. Eye contact. Leaders look people in the eye without intimidation. They don't scan the room nervously or look past their audience. They connect. In one-on-one conversations, hold eye contact long enough to build trust, but not so long that it feels confrontational. C. Voice control. A leader's voice is steady and intentional. They avoid rushing through sentences and instead use pauses strategically. The right pacing shows that you are confident enough to let your words land. D. Energy. Your energy is the emotional temperature you set in a room. Too low, and you seem disengaged. Too high and frantic, and you risk overwhelming your audience. Leaders learn to project calm energy with underlying passion, like a steady fire rather than a flash of sparks. The science behind presence. Psychologists have found that humans form impressions in milliseconds. Your audience begins judging your leadership qualities before you speak a single word. They notice micro-expressions, body posture, and the rhythm of your movement. This means presence isn't optional. It's the silent introduction that either amplifies or undermines your message. 4. Developing a leadership entry. The moment you enter a room, people are subconsciously scanning you for cues. A leader's entry is intentional. Presence in virtual communication. In today's world, many leadership conversations happen online. Presence is just as important here. A. Position your camera at eye level to simulate direct eye contact. Use clear, well-lit backgrounds that reflect professionalism. Slightly slower than in person to compensate for digital lag. Leaders adapt their presence to the medium without losing authority. 6. Practicing presence daily. You don't need a big stage to practice presence. You can start in everyday interaction, whether ordering coffee, speaking to a colleague, or introducing yourself to a stranger. Use those moments to project calm confidence, clarity and connection. Over time, presence becomes second nature. You won't have to switch it on for important moments because you'll be living it daily. Key takeaway: leadership presence is the bridge between your message and your impact. People decide whether to trust and follow you before they hear your full message. Your posture, voice, energy, and eye contact speak long before your words do. Cultivate presence, and your message will always have a strong foundation. Chapter 3. The Language of Influence. Great leaders are not just people who talk. They are people who talk in a way that moves others. They don't drown their audience in unnecessary words, nor do they fake in a way that leaves listeners guessing. Instead, they use language as a precision tool, each word carefully chosen to shape emotions, inspire trust, and drive action. Speaking like a leader means developing the ability to influence not just what people think, but how they feel about what you're saying. Why language matters more than you think. Words are more than sounds. They are carriers of meaning, emotion, and intent. One sentence can inspire loyalty, while another can cause doubt or resistance. Consider the difference between, "We have the ability to achieve more than we ever imagined, and here's how we'll do it." Both sentences point toward improvement, but the second sparks belief and direction rather than mere pressure. Leaders understand that language is not just about delivering information, it's about delivering motivation with clarity. 2. The 3 pillars of influential language. A. Clarity. Be understood the first time. Leaders speak in a way that's easy to follow, even if the topic is complex. This means avoiding jargon when speaking to a general audience. and breaking ideas into digestible parts. Clarity also comes from structuring your thoughts, opening with your main point, supporting it with evidence, and closing with a clear call to action. Precision. Say exactly what you mean. Leaders avoid filler words and vague statements like stuff, things, kind of, or maybe. These weaken authority. Instead, they use specific language that paints a clear mental picture. Instead of "will improve our sales," say, "will increase sales by 15% over the next quarter by launching 3 targeted campaigns." C. Emotion. Make people feel your message. Facts may convince the mind, but emotions move the heart, and it's the heart that drives action. Leaders weave in stories, relatable examples, and language that connects to people's values. 3. Using storytelling to influence. One of the most powerful tools in a leader's language arsenal is storytelling. Facts tell, but stories sell. They create emotional connections and make messages memorable. A good leadership story includes a relatable character. The audience should see themselves in the story. A challenge or problem. The obstacle that needs overcoming. A turning point. Change begins. A resolution. The lesson or victory that inspires action. Example. Instead of telling your team, "We must adapt to change," share a story about a past challenge your company overcame by staying agile. This transforms an instruction into inspiration. The power of positive framing. Leaders know how to frame messages in a way that motivates rather than demoralizes. For example, negative framing. If we fail this project, we lose funding. Positive framing. If we succeed in this project, we open the door to bigger opportunity. Both statements are true, but the second sparks hope and drive instead of fear and defeat. 5. The influence triangle. Every influential message has 3 components. A. Ethos. Credibility. Why should they trust you? Logos. Logic. Is your reasoning sound? Pathos. Emotion. Does it inspire them to act? Great leaders balance all 3. They sound trustworthy, make sense, and stir passion. 6. Words that build versus words that break. Some words naturally elevate, while others unintentionally diminish your authority. Words that build. Let's, we will, I believe, here's how, together. Words that break. I guess, sort of, maybe, I'm not sure. Being mindful of these subtle differences can shift the way people perceive you as a leader. 7. Practicing influential speaking. Influence isn't built overnight. It's a skill that grows with you. To practice. A. Record yourself explaining a concept in under 90 seconds. Then watch it back and refine. Replace filler words with intentional pauses. Practice telling short, impactful stories that have a clear lesson. Key takeaway. The language of influence is not about using big words. It's about using the right words at the right time. Leaders communicate with clarity, precision, and emotion, ensuring their message is not only heard, but also acted upon. Chapter 4. Active listening. The hidden power behind great speaking. When most people think of leadership communication, they imagine standing at a podium, delivering a powerful speech, or rallying a team in a meeting. But what separates good communicators from great leaders isn't just how they speak. It's how they listen. Listening is not passive. True listening is an active, intentional process where you're not just waiting for your turn to talk, but genuinely seeking to understand the other person's perspective, emotions, and intention. Great leaders know this truth. You can't lead people you don't understand, and you can't understand people if you don't listen. 1. Why active listening is a leadership superpower. When you listen deeply, you build trust. Because people feel valued and respected, you gain insight, catching important details others overlook. You inspire loyalty, because people follow leaders who genuinely care. Imagine a CEO who spends more time talking than listening. They might miss early signs of employee burnout, customer dissatisfaction, or market shifts. On the other hand, a leader who listens carefully can detect problems early and act decisively. 2. The difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is simply perceiving sound. Listening is decoding meaning, catching nuances and understanding intent. A leader who hears might nod along but forget the details. A leader who listens asks clarifying questions, remembers the important parts, and follows up later, proving they paid attention. The 3 levels of listening. Level 1, internal listening. You're focused on your own thoughts, opinions, and what you'll say next. This is the most common and least effective level of listening for leaders. Level 2, focused listening. You're giving the other person your full attention, filtering out distractions, and seeking to understand their words and tone. Level 3, global listening. You're tuned into everything, not just words, but also emotions, body language, and the overall energy of the conversation. This is the level master leaders operate on. Practical strategies for active listening. Eliminate distractions. Put away your phone, close your laptop, and make eye contact. B. Show you're engaged. Nod, smile, or give short verbal cues like I see or go on. C. Reflect and paraphrase. Repeat back what you've understood in your own words. So what you're saying is D. Ask clarifying questions. Dig deeper to ensure full understanding. Can you give me an example of that? E. Hold back your advice at first. Sometimes people want to feel heard before they're ready for solutions. For example, if a team member says, I'm overwhelmed with deadlines, a surface-level response is, I'll see if we can extend them. An empathetic leader might say, I can hear how stressed this is making you. Let's figure out a plan so you feel supported. That extra emotional acknowledgement deepens trust. 6. The listening influence loop. The more you listen, the more people feel heard. The more they feel heard, the more open they are to your ideas. That creates a loop where listening increases your influence over time. This is why great negotiators, coaches, and leaders spend more time asking questions than giving answers, because listening lays the foundation for persuasion. Sieving, overcoming common listening barriers. Barrier 1, thinking ahead to your response. Solution, pause before speaking. Barrier 2, assuming you already know what they mean. Solution, ask, don't assume. Barrier 3, being distracted by environment or multitasking. Solution, create a distraction-free zone for important conversation. The more deeply you listen, the more effectively you can respond, connect, and inspire. Words gain power when they're built on understanding, and understanding comes from listening first. Chapter 5. Body language. Speaking without words. Before a leader utters a single word, their body has already spoken volumes. The way you stand, the way you move, the way your face reacts, all of it sends signals that people interpret instantly. In fact, research suggests that over 50% of communication is nonverbal. This means people are often more influenced by your presence than your phrases. Great leaders know how to align their body language with their message, creating harmony between what they say and what they show. Why body language shapes leadership presence. Words are processed logically, but body language is processed emotionally. If your tone says, I'm confident, but your shoulders are hunched, your audience feels doubt. Leadership presence comes from congruence. When your posture, gestures, and expressions support your words instead of contradicting them. 2. The 5 core elements of leadership body language are posture, the foundation of authority. Stand tall with shoulders relaxed but back. Avoid leaning on one leg or crossing arms defensively. Think open and grounded. Your body should signal stability and readiness. B. Eye contact, the bridge of connection. Maintain steady, warm eye contact. Not staring aggressively, but enough to show confidence. In group settings, scan the room, making brief connections with multiple people. Use the 3-second rule. Hold eye contact for about 3 seconds before moving to another person. C. Gestures. The amplifiers your message. Use open-palmed gestures to signal honesty and collaboration. Avoid pointing aggressively, fidgeting, or crossing arms. Match your expression to your message. seriousness for key points, warmth for encouragement. Avoid a neutral mask for too long. It can make you seem detached. E. Movement and space, commanding the room. In meetings, move with purpose rather than pacing aimlessly. Use your position in the room to create engagement. Step forward for emphasis. Step back to give space. Be mindful of personal boundaries. Too close can feel intimidating. Too far can feel distant. The subtle art of mirroring. Mirroring is the practice of subtly reflecting someone's posture, tone, or energy. It creates an unconscious sense of rapport. Example: if a team member leans forward excitedly while speaking, you can lean slightly forward too, signaling interest and alignment. Important: keep it subtle and natural. Overdoing it can feel manipulative. 4. How body language builds or breaks trust. Trust is fragile, and body language can strengthen or shatter it. Builds trust: open stance, steady eye contact, relaxed tone, visible hands. Breaks trust: avoiding eye contact, closed arms, restless movements, micro-expressions of annoyance. People may forget exactly what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel, and body language shapes that feeling. Body language in different leadership contexts. One-on-one conversations. Face the person directly. Keep your body turned toward them to show engagement. Lean slightly forward to signal interest. Team meetings. Stand or sit where you can see everyone. Use gestures that involve the group, like sweeping motions with your hand. Shift your gaze regularly to include everyone in the discussion. Public speaking. Plant your feet firmly before speaking. Open with a confident stance and a smile. Use pauses, gestures, and purposeful movement to keep attention. 6. Avoiding common body language mistakes. Fidgeting with objects, pens, phones, jewelry. It signals nervousness. Looking at slides or notes too often. It weakens your connection with the audience. Crossing arms or legs can look defensive or closed off. Shrinking your space, small movements, and hunched shoulders reduce your presence. Developing a leader's body language. Like any skill, powerful body language can be practiced. Record yourself speaking to spot nervous habits. Practice in front of a mirror to fine-tune posture and expressions. Observe great speakers and notice their physical presence. Ask for feedback from trusted peers. Key takeaway: your words tell people what you think. Your body language tells them what you believe. When both align, your leadership presence becomes magnetic. You inspire trust, command attention, and leave a lasting impression without forcing it. Chapter 6: The Leader's Voice, Tone, Pace, and Power. Words are only part of the equation. A leader's voice is like an instrument, and the way you play it can inspire, reassure, or motivate far more than the words themselves. You've likely heard two people say the exact same sentence, yet one sounded persuasive and powerful, while the other fell flat. The difference wasn't vocabulary, it was delivery. In leadership communication, your tone, pace, and vocal energy are just as important as your message. 1. Why your voice shapes perception. Your voice sends emotional signals that people process instinctively. A warm tone makes you approachable. A steady pace shows confidence and control. A resonant voice commands attention. When your voice matches your message, you create vocal congruence. The listener's mind says, "I believe this person." 2. The 3 dimensions of a leader's voice. A tone. The emotional color of your words. Your tone communicates emotion faster than your words. It can be warm and encouraging, builds trust, firm and decisive, signals authority, energetic and enthusiastic, inspires action. Leadership tip: speak as if you are talking to someone you respect and care about. This balances authority with warmth. B. Pace, the rhythm that shapes understanding. Too fast, you risk overwhelming your audience. Too slow, you risk losing their attention. Ideal pace, around 40–160 words per minute, with deliberate pauses. Pauses are leadership gold. They give weight to your message and allow your audience to absorb it. Example: instead of "we must adapt quickly because the market is changing," try, We must adapt quickly, because the market is changing. C. Power, volume, projection, and resonance. Because volume should be loud enough for clarity but never aggressive. Projection is about sending your voice to the listener, not just out of your mouth. Resonance comes from speaking from your chest and diaphragm, not just your throat. A resonant voice sounds confident, calm and compelling, even at a lower volume. 3. The voice-emotion connection. Your emotional state leaks into your voice. If you're tense, your voice may tighten. If you're disengaged, your tone may flatten. Leadership practice. Before speaking, take a slow breath and set your emotional intention. Ask her, do I want to reassure? Do I want to energize? Do I want to command focus? Your vocal delivery will naturally adjust to match your intention. Vocal techniques for leadership impact. The anchor pause. Stop before making a key point to grab attention. Inflection control. Let your voice rise slightly for engagement, fall for authority. Energy modulation. Raise energy for calls to action, lower for serious reflection. Strategic silence. Silence can be more powerful than words. Use it after impactful statements. 5. Adapting your voice for different situations. Inspiration. Use a rising tone, faster pace, and higher energy. Calm authority. Lower your tone, slow your pace, and pause off. Motivation. Blend enthusiasm with clarity. Don't just shout, energize with conviction. Crisis communication. Stay steady, avoid vocal tremors, and keep tone calm yet firm. Avoiding vocal habits that undermine leadership. Up-talking. Ending sentences like a question when it's a statement reduces authority. Filler words. Like, make you seem unsure. Monotone delivery drains energy from your message. Over-projection. Speaking too loudly can feel aggressive rather than confident. 7. Building a stronger leadership voice. Record and review your speeches or meetings. Practice breathing from your diaphragm to increase vocal control. Read aloud daily from leadership books or speeches to develop rhythm. Mimic great speakers to feel the physicality of their delivery. Hydrate. A dry throat can weaken vocal quality. Key takeaway. Your voice is the invisible handshake you give every time you speak. When you control your tone, pace, and power, you command attention without force, and your words carry the weight of leadership. Chapter 7. Leading through listening. One of the most underestimated skills in leadership communication is listening. Too often, leadership is mistaken for the ability to speak powerfully, inspire teams, or deliver flawless presentations. While these are important, they are only half of the equation. The other half, the one that makes leaders magnetic and trustworthy, is the ability to listen deeply. True listening isn't simply the absence of speaking. It's an active, intentional effort to understand. It's leaning forward, maintaining steady eye contact, nodding with genuine interest, and being fully present. When you listen well, you do more than gather information. You make people feel valued. And when people feel valued, they become more open, more loyal, and more engaged. Why listening is a power move. In a noisy world where everyone is fighting to be heard, the leader who listens stands out. It's not weakness to let others speak first. It's strength. Listening allows you to gather perspectives you might never have considered. It helps you uncover hidden challenges, notice opportunities in passing comments, understand the emotional undercurrents driving behavior. Great leaders know that people's words are layered. Behind the surface message, there may be fear, doubt, hope, or ambition. By tuning into tone, pauses, and body language, you hear not just the what, but also the why. This understanding gives you an enormous advantage when making decisions, resolving conflicts, or inspiring action. The art of active listening. Active listening means your attention is undivided. You're not thinking about how you'll respond, checking your phone, or mentally preparing your next task. You're fully locked into the conversation. It involves silence that invites more sharing. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not fill the pause. Clarifying questions, asking for examples, context, or feelings to understand better. Paraphrasing, restating the key points to confirm you've heard correctly. Listening as a strategic tool. Listening first makes everything you say more impactful. It ensures your words are relevant, timely, and tuned to the listener's perspective. This not only improves clarity, but also makes your message far more persuasive. People are much more willing to follow someone who has first taken the time to understand. Practical ways to strengthen your listening skills. Pause before responding. Let the message land fully before speaking. Listen between the lines. Notice what's implied or avoided, not just what's said. Acknowledge feelings even if you can't solve the problem immediately. Stay curious. Approach every conversation as if the other person knows something you don't. The leadership advantage. A leader who listens well doesn't just gather information. They build bridges. They create safe spaces where team members feel free to share openly, without fear of dismissal or judgment. This kind of environment fosters innovation, prevents small problems from becoming big ones, and inspires deeper commitment from everyone involved. Remember, speaking like a leader begins with listening like one. When people feel truly heard, they will be far more willing to hear you. Chapter 8. Mastering the Power of Persuasion. Leadership is not about forcing compliance, it's about inspiring agreement. And the most effective tool for achieving that is persuasion. When you master persuasion, you can move hearts, influence minds, and align people with a vision that becomes their own. Persuasion isn't manipulation. Manipulation seeks to benefit you at someone else's expense. Persuasion creates a win-win where your goals and the other person's needs overlap. A leader skilled in persuasion builds trust rather than eroding it, and leaves people feeling empowered, not you. The foundations of persuasion. Persuasion works best when built on three core pillars. A. Credibility, ethos. People are far more likely to be influenced by someone they respect and trust. Your words carry weight when your track record, integrity, and consistency are proven. Logic, logos, facts, data, and clear reasoning form the backbone of persuasion. People need to see that your ideas make sense and are supported by evidence. Emotion, pathos. Logic appeals to the mind, but emotion moves the heart. By connecting to people's hopes, fears, and aspirations, you inspire action beyond rational agreement. Understanding your every persuasive conversation starts with knowing who you're talking to. What are their priorities? What fears hold them back? What opportunities excite them? The better you understand their perspective, the easier it becomes to frame your message in a way that resonates. A leader never sells an idea the same way to everyone. They adapt their language, examples, and benefits to suit each audience. Whether it's a boardroom of executives, a team of engineers, or a single skeptical colleague, framing your message for maximum impact. How you present your idea can be as important as the idea itself. Effective framing includes starting with a shared goal. Show that you're on the same side before proposing your direction. Leading with benefits, not features. Explain what your idea will do for them, not just what it is. Telling story, real-world examples or personal experiences make abstract concepts tangible and memorable. The power of strategic questions. Persuasive leaders don't just tell, they ask. Strategic questions lead people to draw their own conclusions, which makes the decision feel like theirs. Examples include, by guiding thinking instead of dictating it, you shift from pushing an idea to inspiring someone to pull it toward themselves. The key is not to fight it head-on, but to acknowledge it, understand it, and reframe it. Listen first to uncover the real concern. Acknowledge the validity of their perspective. Reframe the issue to show alignment with their goals. People rarely change their minds when you prove them wrong. They change when they feel understood. Long-term influence. Persuasion is not a one-time performance. It's an ongoing process. Every interaction, every decision, every promise kept builds or erodes your persuasive power. Over time, people begin to follow not just because your ideas are compelling, but because you are compelling. Final thought. A leader who masters persuasion doesn't just get agreement, they create commitment. Your words can spark action today, but your ability to connect, empathize, and inspire ensures your influence lasts far beyond the conversation. Chapter 9. Handling difficult conversations with leadership grace. Difficult conversations are the moments that test a leader's true communication skill. Anyone can speak confidently when the mood is light and the stakes are low. But when tension rises, emotions run high, and uncomfortable truths must be addressed. Only leaders with composure, empathy, and clarity can navigate the storm without capsizing the relationship. Whether you're delivering bad news, giving tough feedback, addressing conflict, or confronting unacceptable behavior, the way you handle these moments determines whether you build trust or break it. Why most people avoid difficult conversations. Avoidance often comes from fear, today fear of damaging the relationship, fear of not being liked, fear of confrontation escalating into conflict, fear of saying the wrong thing. But here's the reality, avoiding a difficult conversation rarely makes things better. Problems left unaddressed usually grow bigger, resentment builds silently, and the damage deepens. A leader faces these moments head-on, not because they enjoy them, but because they value truth, clarity, and resolution. Mindset before the conversation. The mindset you bring into a difficult conversation is half the battle. Leaders approach these talks with calm confidence. Your tone sets the emotional temperature. If you remain steady, it's harder for the other person to spiral into defensiveness. Genuine empathy, seeing the situation from their perspective, reduces hostility and increases cooperation. Commitment to resolution. You're here to solve the problem, not to win an argument. Preparing for success. Never walk into a high-stakes conversation without preparation. Define your purpose. What outcome do you want? Clarity prevents the conversation from wandering. Anticipate reactions. Think about how they might respond emotionally or logically, so you're ready to address it. The three-part conversation framework. A simple yet powerful framework for difficult conversations. This keeps the focus on behavior, not personal attacks. Express the impact. When meetings start late, the team's productivity drops and deadlines get tighter. Showing the ripple effect makes the issue about more than just the individual. Invite collaboration on solutions. What can we do to ensure you're able to be here on time? This shifts the tone from blame to problem solving. Listening more than you speak. In a difficult conversation, listening isn't passive, it's strategic. It diffuses defensiveness and uncovers underlying issues you might not have seen. Sometimes the problem you think you're addressing is only a symptom of something deeper. Managing emotions in real time. Even the most prepared leader can face unexpected pushback. The key is to acknowledge emotions. Phrases like, "I can see this is frustrating," can help calm the other person. Closing with clarity. A difficult conversation should end with an affirmation of respect and willingness to move forward. The final words matter. They leave the emotional imprint the person will carry away. Final thought. Leadership is often defined by how you handle the moments that others avoid. By facing tough conversations with courage, respect, and emotional intelligence, you transform potential conflict into opportunities for growth and stronger relationships. Chapter 10. The Leader's Voice That Lasts. Leadership communication isn't just about speaking well in the moment. It's about leaving an enduring impact that inspires action long after you've finished speaking. Great leaders understand that their words are not just tools but seeds, and like seeds, words can grow into ideas, beliefs, and movements that shape the future. When you speak as a leader, you are not simply exchanging information, you are shaping culture, guiding behavior, and creating momentum. This is why leaders speak with intention, authenticity, and vision in every setting, whether it's a one-on-one meeting, a team huddle, or a stage in front of thousands. The 3 pillars of a lasting leadership voice. If you want your words to resonate beyond the moment, anchor them in 3 pillars. Clarity. A message that is cluttered with jargon or unnecessary complexity will fade quickly. Leaders speak in clear, simple, and memorable terms. Example: Winston Churchill's wartime speeches were powerful not because they were ornate, but because they were unmistakably clear. Conviction. People don't just follow your words, they follow your belief in those words. A leader's voice is strong because it is backed by inner certainty. Reality. If you waver, they will waver. Consistency. A single inspiring speech may be remembered for a while, but it's consistent communication over time that builds trust and loyalty. Your message should be in harmony with your actions every day. Reality. Turning communication into influence. A leader's influence is multiplied when their words align with their values and vision. This alignment creates what I call authentic echo, the phenomenon where people repeat your message not because they're told to, but because they believe in it. To create this effect, share stories that illustrate your principles. Use language that makes people feel included, valued, and empowered. The responsibility of the leader's voice. Once you realize the influence your words carry, you also recognize the responsibility that comes with them. Careless statements can fracture trust. A thoughtless comment can demotivate an entire team, but thoughtful, intentional communication can unite people in extraordinary ways. Before speaking, leaders ask themselves, will this inspire or diminish? Will this create unity or division? Will this help others grow or hold them back? Speaking for the future. The voice of a leader is not just for the present, it's for the future. Think about the leaders whose words you still remember today. Why do they endure? Because they painted a vision bigger than themselves and gave people a reason to believe. When you speak, plant hope, not fear. Cast vision, not doubt. Call people to rise, not retreat. Your leadership communication legacy. At the end of your journey as a leader, you won't be remembered for every meeting you led or every task you completed. You'll be remembered for the way you made people feel, the belief you inspired in them, and the way your voice helped them see what was possible. Your legacy will be written in the hearts and minds of those who heard you and chose to follow your lead. Final call to action. From the first chapter to now, you've learned the art of speaking with clarity, confidence. You've discovered how to listen deeply, inspire others, handle difficult conversations, and lead with authenticity. Now it's time to live it. Every conversation is an opportunity to lead. Every word is a brick in the foundation of your legacy. Speak wisely, speak boldly, and above all, speak in a way that moves people toward a better future. Because a leader's voice isn't just heard, it's remembered. And if this journey has inspired you, helped you grow, or challenged you to speak at a higher level, I'd love for you to share it with others who need it. Like this video to support the message. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss new leadership lessons, and share it with someone who's ready to elevate their voice. Together, we can raise a generation of leaders who speak to inspire and lead with integrity.